Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie. It's not every day I get stuff from my gals and a few that work at the Capitol. And they gave me some information a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of sat and hemmed and hawed on it. Not that I didn't believe them, I was just kind of hoping someone would come out with a story or a news source that would back it up, because otherwise it's just rumored. Um, and then they would claim I was just spreading rumors. Well, and the Babylon Bee came out with it, and it's got little hints in it, the same kind of hints I got. Now, what it was is a few of my gals were there at the Capitol, and they seen Nancy Pelosi being whisked to the elevator really quick, and so they were able to get into the elevator, but nothing much was said. And of course, um, she was basically led to her office, and the doors were swiftly closed. Um, Now, how my sources there at the Capitol get things is I can't really say. They get it in different ways. So sometimes it's hearing things, sometimes it's seeing things, sometimes it's stuff that they see sitting on desks. Some things are just thrown away, and some are just filed away. What it was is, boy, you guys are really going to get a kick out of this. So. Um, It wasn't until they seen Nancy Pelosi in handcuffs, and they thought, well, they were leading. How it was explained to me, they were leading AOC away, and maybe Nancy Pelosi was down there in the mist and got away before they could, tell her she couldn't do it. No, it wasn't. Um, Basically, everybody was shocked that House Speaker Pelosi had been arrested and charged with running the country while under the influence. They basically they've been observing Pelosi's press conferences and determined that she was not acting right. When they asked her office manager about this, they said, "Well, maybe she's feeling ill today." They suspected she was basically could have been sick, and they wanted her to be checked out until they got pretty close to her, and they realized she was totally plastered. Um, she has been, slurring her speech for years, and she stumbles. She loses track, and a lot of people thought this was a cognitive thing, but in fact, she a lot of even conservatives say that she has been, seems like she had been drinking. Not much, they said, and she usually can contain herself. So um, that's the news I got on Pelosi. Now, what happened with it, I don't know. We know her husband was arrested, and he was charged, or not charged. I think they gave him the get out of jail free card. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because, people have problems, and um, maybe Pelosi has issues. So, and there's better news out there today. Oops. So, you know, um, with this Taiwan thing, I think this is a little bit more important. The U.S. sends aircraft carrier group to Taiwan waters um, with invasion fears. Um, I believe they're sending the USS Ronald Reagan. Now, William told me the Reagan was already there, so I'm thinking they were sending the lesser ships near the island. Um, and they will not be deterred from operating the seas. Now, I also heard they're going to start their own exercises there too. Um, I don't know if I don't know if that's a really good idea, folks. The move comes in response to Beijing launching live missiles into the water and live fire drills, and so Our next thing that we did was we went ahead and we sent more ships out there, and now we are doing exercises, not live exercises like Taiwan is, but we are doing multiple exercises out in international waters. So Biden leaves out one key thing um, about al-Zawahiri um, with the ties that he had with Russia. Now we know he was killed by a CIA drone, and a lot has been spilled out about his life and his death. Much debate over the effectiveness or the lack of, and the U.S. over the Verizon counterterrorism capabilities. Um, so missing from Biden's primetime address on Monday was the deluge of media coverage that followed. However, it's been mentioned that he had ties to Russia. Um, Now, I don't think this is a real big thing, but it's something that we should have known about. Um, so he was trained by Russia's Federal Security Service, better known as the FSB, which is primary successor to the KGB. Allegation was made that Alexander uh, Litvinenko in 2005, after he defected from the UK, you may recall that he died in London after being poisoned with radioactive polonium in 2006. And his death was a big story at the time. But in July, the interview with Poland, um, Ayman Zawahiri, um, trained at the Federal Security Service in Dagestan in 1998, and then he transferred to Afghanistan, where he became Osama bin Laden's deputy. Um, and following the following year, he ended up um, having um, lunch with two Russian men, and this was Lagavoy and Kovtun at a bar in London. And 3 weeks later, both the men were dead. So, or all three were dead. So, 10-year public inquiry to conclude the two men at the bar had been Russian agents, in all likelihood, to assassinate him. And the knowledge that Russian Putin um, reported on this. Now, shortly after he assumed leadership of Al Qaeda in 2011, and it basically warned the West not to ignore his connection with the FSB. And the report said that it had confirmed this in not just one, but numerous interviews. So the allegations were collaborated by the KGB, and they said who um, this was by Lieutenant Colonel Konstantin, um, who defected to the United States in 1993 and wrote about his time as a Russian spy. So, is this real important that he was KGB? I don't think it really matters. I really don't. So, did he leave it out purposeful? With Biden the way he is, I am to leave out that he was part of the KGB. I think the only reason you throw that in is just to slander someone, saying, "Look what Russia did, Russia." So I don't put too much into it. I don't really put too much into it. Um, yeah, how many media? I don't know if all my viewers know this. How many of the media went through the CIA course? Most of them. You'd be surprised. Most of your head anchors, CNN, quite a few of them have been through the CIA. Anderson Cooper has. That's well known. But so is it a big thing or not? Uh, we're just going to have to see what happens out of this. Um, And the big thing they say that this guy wrote long before Islamic terrorism became a global threat, the KGB had used terrorism to facilitate the victory of world communism. And that's very true. So, um, all right. So I'm just going to kind of move on. Experts warn EV owners may see soaring costs after mechanics realize they're losing money. I seen this coming. They said that it could rise about 22%. Um, they said it's the cost of servicing electric vehicles compared to their gas powered counterparts is tremendous. And this has come out Wednesday. And they said EVs cheaper to service than um, ICE cars, the fleet assistant data shows. EVs are cheaper to service, um, and reports were titled in similar fashion. The thing is, it's not quite true. And it turns out when you take a deeper look into it, the future is not so bright with the repair cost. Um, However, the cars cover fewer miles between servicing. Dealers are beginning to face rising operation costs. And so they say they're not being knee jerking on this pricing action, but in order for them to be able to make some money, they're going to have to add extra charges. And they said it could be up to double of what it would be to have your gas powered car repaired. Um, Even though it don't include all of the things that a gas powered car would have. Um, um, but they do have a lot of batteries that got to be replaced. And so it gets costly. And if also, I've been reporting to you that these cars catch on fire. And they're even saying that the insurance companies might not cover it. So, it's more and more we're seeing that these EV cars are becoming a problem, not a fix to getting rid of fossil fuels. Um, um, they say that Joe Biden has tested positive again. Um, and the thing about it is, though the his actual condition are they're not really talking about. The doctor has been put on a lockdown and has not been allowed to address the press. So they locked his doctor up for all of this. And so um, I think I must be on the wrong platform. I don't know. Everybody's gone today. So um, um, it's odd that he keeps coming up sick. And but he's old, and when you get old, your immune system doesn't quite work as well as what it would be in your prime. And I know I have no immune system, so I catch everything that goes by. But the thing with this though is, um, why would they put the doctor on lockdown? Now his doctor did a cognitive test on him, and then all of a sudden we don't hear nothing from Biden. And it's really odd that we haven't heard nothing with so much going on with China and this South China Seas, that he hasn't been out to say anything about it. So, all right. um, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, um, they were going to do missile test. We were getting ready to have our own missile test. And it looks like it might not be. Um, the Biden White House announced that it was canceling the long scheduled test firing of Minuteman ICBM from Vandenberg Air Force Base. This test has been disclosed um, years in advance. And now I've even heard about it. And the reasons given was to prevent inflaming uh, Jinping. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered the extended naval presence And John Kirby also said at a news briefing that they ordered the missile test delay to avoid further actions by Xi Jinping and China, as China engages in destabilizing military exercises around Taiwan, but also the United States, Japan, and Australia. And they have been doing their own. And they said the response nuclear power is going to reduce the risks of miscalculations. And they really do need to test our own. But until everything calms down over around Taiwan, our missile tests will be delayed. And earlier this year, Biden canceled the long-standing Minuteman test as a useless concession to Putin. But now we learned that President Biden has postponed a second one, uh, basically over Jinping's tantrums. The news comes after China conducted live fire exercises allowing the Speaker of the House to visit Taiwan. These weak, pearl clutching attempts to hurt our readiness only invites further aggression by our adversaries. So I totally believe that. And we should just go ahead and do it. Um, and we should, it don't mean we have to do it over there in the right close to them. We could do our own. But I don't see why we would postpone this. I mean, if we need to test ours and get ready, we might need to, we need ample time to be able to do it. Now, I don't remember him canceling the first one. So the second one, when I heard it was second, I was kind of surprised. So I went back and looked. And it was right about the time he got in office. And he just didn't feel the timing was right. So, maybe three's a charm. I believe that we should go ahead and do it. Cinemas caved in, folks, to Schumer and Manchin. She went in and she made a few changes to the bill that she wanted, but for the most part, she went ahead and she's with Joe Biden and Manchin on the Build Back Better thing. And they announced that she was on board with the tax increases and increased spending. She says it's falsely named Inflation Reduction Acts, which she disagrees with this. They said we have agreed to remove the carried interest tax provision, advance manufacturing, and boost clean energy and economy, and boost the economy. She said the subject to parliamentary review, it'll probably move it forward. So I'm not very happy. Breakdown. Yeah, I can't believe she just sided with them. I figured she was our hope, and that she would stop this until we could get past November. But it looks like, they're pushing this, and it will everywhere that I have. Every economist that I've listened to, everyone I've called, all said it's going to hurt us. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is take out a lot so it won't hurt so bad. Maybe they feel if they get in there and change things, it's going to help. But what it does is it makes them look weak. And it also makes them look like they sold us out. I believe Manchin may have, because I got an article from a gentleman out of I believe he's in D.C. that said that everything that Joe Biden is doing and this bill is doing with Schumer is only going to increase our taxes, and there's no good signs coming out of this. So, and I'll probably read it to you here in a little bit. So, Biden doctor still MIA. That's on its a whole story on its own, but they're not saying why, folks. And his administration, the press secretary Everybody is just saying he's with him and he's on standby, and they're not letting too much info out on this. So um, we're going to have to wait and see, because I don't think they want him talking. I don't think they want him talking in what his condition is right now with this pandemic. And I don't think he wants to answer questions about his cognitive test. So I think we should. Mary, I think we ought to pin him down and make him talk, and find out exactly what's going on with his health. So what happens, you know, if what if he is too sick? And then we got Kamala Harris. And you know what got me was, Mary, tell me what you think of this idea. This is just my own idea and opinion. Is, Pelosi went over there to show her strengths, and she was acting presidential on this. I'm wondering if they're going to take that Biden is going to go out, and they're not going to let Harris in, which means Nancy Pelosi steps in. And to me, it just kind of seems like she's trying to be presidential quality all of a sudden, because she doesn't normally do what she's doing without being seen. She normally makes these trips privately. So, Mary, what do you think of that? You think she's trying to practice up? Um, there's something smells bad, and I know at the beginning of my show I did the whole Pelosi thing. Maybe she smells from that. I don't know. We are as we are looking at this doctor being MIA. I think there needs to be a lot more questions of why. He needs to come out. I mean, if it was a Republican president or a Republican, they would be forcing him out, and they would want all the data, and they would want circles and arrows and dots and arrows pointing to a whole bunch of things. So this is, to me, this isn't right. We need to find out exactly what's wrong with him. What if he's dying? Don't we have the right to know? Was it Roosevelt that was in the chair? I can't remember. I believe so. They hid that from the American people for a very long time. He didn't want to be seen in a wheelchair as a weak. Now, you compare that with Governor Abbott. Now he's in a chair, but do we pay attention to it? No. So I think it would just be, the media would, I think, be just aghast if they had to go through this with this doctor. So, all right. So the Republicans introduce a bill to prevent the CCP from buying American land. Now, this comes right after Chinese company just yesterday bought 300 acres near an American Air Force base. And this is why we can't buy nothing over there. We're not allowed to own any of their property, but they are sure buying up quick over here. And they've been doing this for years. And that's what made me mad at Senator Reid way back when it was the horses and the Mustangs out of Nevada, because that's his state. And I always wondered why he would do such a thing. And and then we had the Bundys were complaining the same thing, that the China had bought and the CCP had bought. They were buying up everybody's properties around where they lived, and they were almost the last holdout. So another one what? Anyway, another one of what, Mary? So anyway, I'm glad the Republicans are going to introduce the bill. They're starting to push some things through right now. Not only that, Grassie's got a lineup of quite a few bills he wants to submit. So it sounds like finally the GOP is going to stand up, and they're going to go after the Democrats that have committed crimes. All right, so the FAA directs UFO spotters to call Washington now. there has now I got um, info yesterday that there has been another UFO that was seen. It just hadn't made it out to the news yet. But they're saying now the FAA wants these spotters to start calling Washington and maybe even not only the FAA, which I don't think the FAA wants all these phone calls, but not only that, but they are looking further and further into it at the Pentagon at this point. So something has happened. They said that has brought this forward and that um, there has been we knew about the tic tac, we knew about um, um, the other one that was seen. There was two, I guess, that's been out. Well, now they say there's a third one, but they have basically gotten 140,000 reports of UFO sightings all over North America since 1974. And Washington has the highest ratio of UFO sightings. I don't know about that. I would say it was Arizona. And it seems like when it started in 1945, it was they were seeing them around nuclear facilities, and now they're seeing them around nuclear plants. And they said so. Um, they dictate that procedures for the national air traffic controllers also is going to have to start reporting these UFO sightings. And person wanting to report should contact um, basically unexplained phenomenon reporting data collections center, such as National UFO Reporting Center, etc. So there has been a third one now that I guess is going to come out within the next few days. Um, Project Bluebeam. Yeah, we need something. So what is this stuff? Um, either Russia or China or maybe us are going to come out and say, no, it's ours. We've been experimenting, or we're going to find out that there's a good possibility that there is something out there. Um, Let me see. Now I put it on Facebook yesterday, but I didn't get on live. But China fired 11 ballistic missiles near Taiwan um, after the visit, and not only that, but then they shot five towards Japan. So there's not only are they going after, and get this, there is some islands just outside of China, and it's a certain set of islands that's just before Taiwan, and they're basically trying to not only surround Taiwan, but they're getting almost missile strikes on shore with these islands. So it's going to be um, it's going to be a wait and see, like I said, every day. What gets me is China said it would go till the 8th. Okay, so what happens on the 8th? They just quit and go home? Uh, that kind of doesn't make any sense to me. We're only going to do this for the 8th and hope we scare you. I don't know. I think there's more to it, and I think more than likely Jinping's going to come out and tell everybody what's going on. So, um, oh boy. So, um, when I was looking at it, and remember I was saying that there was some tanks that were rolling. I believe that was from Taiwan. Now there is what they say on these other islands closest to China, that's considered Taiwan islands. Um, there was tanks that they don't know they haven't identified them yet. So we're going to have to wait and see. Is China landing? What I seen on the maps last night, it looks like they're right on the beach. Um, and not only that, but firing all these missiles. And now we have the United States over there to stand up to them. So now that we have the ships and the Navy over there, and we're ready to stand up to them, then the ball's back in China's court. What are they going to do next? That's the fear. That's the fear. Um, I've been watching, and I'm in Ukraine a lot, and reporting on this because my reporters. Well, Ukraine had some developments in the region within the last 24 hours, and President Zelensky has asked the U.S. for more help because he needs to continue his. That we need to continue to open our wallets for more weapons, no matter where they end up. They need more money, and they turn when we didn't really respond. You wouldn't believe what they did. They went and asked China for help. Zelensky went and asked China for help and um, his to join Zelensky in going after Russia. And so, uh, when I heard that, I said, "Man, why is he asking China? Because China's with Russia. Does he not know that?" And it just didn't make any sense. So I looked into it, and lo and behold, yeah, he's asking China for aid, money, and weapons. And so they want China to sanction Russia. So China, uh, Jinping, they want to Zelensky wants to talk to him about how he could hurt Russia through the sanctions. And China and Russia have really good economic relationships right now. So it doesn't make any sense. And Zelensky said he wants to discuss the Russian invasion of his country with Jinping. And he said directly that he hoped China might review and change its attitude towards Russia in a light of its invasion. Ukraine, um, the conversation um, that happened about a year ago. He knew, or they knew that something was coming up, and they didn't ask China then, but they did ask for just support, moral support, because they were so close. Um, but how do you take this in without laughing at these guys? Oh, Mm. Uh, Russia's our enemy, and China's with Russia, and you're going to go ask them for money and military equipment that they have been not even keeping track of. They haven't kept track of the aid. They haven't kept track of any of the military equipment that's going there. Because I reported a few days ago that it was ended up on the black market. So, what happened to getting stuff from NATO? Um, so, um, and not to mention, why isn't NATO on the phone with Zelensky and saying, "Don't make these kind of um, news public. This is something they should keep under wraps." So that's how I think of it. And I hadn't thought of um, he would actually do that. Um, so the media might even shine a spotlight on China's refusal to help. See, that's what I'm almost wondering is if he only did it just to get the refusal, so then he could say, "Oh, well, look at how mean China's being; they won't help us." Um, but we don't really know Zelensky. We don't know if he's a puppet. We don't know if he's being controlled by NATO and the U.S. Um, and we don't know how much money he's actually got. That's something that I want to see. Me and quite a few others. Um, if you know anything about China's Belt and Road Initiative, you know it's far reaching. And that's what they're going to put in there. If anything that China works is want the Belt and Road so they can get their feet in there and they can start doing their own thing. And more than likely want the Odessa port. So China's not the way to go for Zelensky. Um, So Russia and the BRICS nation, China, India, South Africa, and Brazil, they agreed basically um, to reserve currency that goes against the United States dollar and the world reserve currency. Um, so not I believe that this is something that's going on behind closed doors with China. I believe they're trying to build up their own currency. And, this has a little bit to do with Zelensky. Because of this war, more and more money is being sent, and the less of it being on the gold standard. Well, I believe that now we're going to start seeing China even going towards the gold and the silver is what we're hearing. So not only are they going to all these different nations for the resources, but that's what this Belt and Road is all about. They may say we'll give you a train, we'll give you high speed trains, but um, if they get in there, then that this is what they're going to do. So more than likely, if Zelensky thinks he's going to have China help, what he's going to get is the Belt and Road Initiative, and he's going to be stuck like Australia is at this point. So much of this war is funded on the U.S. dollar, and China um, could further strengthen the dollar if we are at a Cold War, not like the one it is right now. And we've seen this happening over the last few days. Interesting angle in Ukraine is the amnesty. And I'm going to move on because that was just all part of Zelensky asking Jinping for the money. And I think China's just as worried. Yeah, they could do the Belt and Road, but right now it's almost like a failure. And does China want to be a part of fighting the United States and NATO for Ukraine? I don't think it's worth it. So he's been over there building up his currency, and it seems to be more backed by the gold and the silver. So that's what I believe his Belt and Road Initiative does get into, is the resources in all these countries. So now the last few days, um, um, we have we started seeing um, Amnesty International, and what they do is um, they have been waiting on some documents, and they finally got the documents, and then they had to see for themselves. Not only that, but they were looking at witness testimony, and the Ukraine forces have put civilians, not only just Russians, but their own people in harm's way. And they've been establishing and operating weapon systems in populated residential areas. Now, Putin had went about a month ago to the UN and complained of things that Ukraine had been doing in their military. And every time they have done something, he's always went. Well, they were wanting evidence. And what they found out, this international, um, they have found out that the evidence was overwhelming. And they sent independent researchers and found out that it was true, and that not U.S., Ukrainian force has been putting civilians in harm's way and establishing bases, operating wetland systems in populated residential areas, including in schools and hospitals, as they repelled the Russian invasion that began in February. And the report goes on, most residential areas where soldiers located themselves um, from the front lines. And what they did was they basically the front lines to where they would not put uh, civilians in danger. But now lately things have turned. And so one of the witnesses said, you could set up your army at a military base, or an empty field, or there's plenty of places Ukraine can put what they're launching in different places. But instead, they said you choose a kindergarten, right? Or densely wood, why not a densely wooded area? Also available other structures far away from the residential areas. Um, and this is because not only did they try to hit the kindergarten, but then they took out quite a few playgrounds. And so these civilians, Ukrainian and as well as Russia's, is running out there saying, no, don't do this, not in residential areas. And so this is something that has been documented. And this Amnesty International is talking to all these witnesses over there and finding out, yes, this is happening. Um, but what was found out was when as they were investigating, they seen things on the ground. And thank goodness one of the investigators knew what it was. It's called a, um, a pedal mine. And the under international law, pedal mines aren't allowed. And so they said this was right after the school and the playground and that residential area was bombed. And so what they found laying all over the ground was these pedal bombs. And people actually thought they were leaves on the ground, or they didn't really know what it was. One man almost was going to push it or poke it with his cane, but one of the Amnesty International guys ran over or yelled and told him to get back, get back. And so the gentleman didn't understand. And he told everybody to get back in their houses. And he said, or stand in your doorways and watch this. So he got a tire and he threw it on one of these mines. And it's pretty powerful. So what they found out and what they've been able to uncover is it's Ukraine that did this. And so they threw or had um, a way to have an explosion, and it threw these pedal mines or pedal bombs all over the place and all over the streets. And this is residential areas. And so now they're looking at, now they're starting to look at Putin in a whole new light. And they said, they called NBC with what was going on and that Ukraine had done this. And of course, they ended up calling these people crazy. Except for this is an Amnesty International that keeps people in check and what they're using during the war. So the kindergarten teacher's right. I believe if they're yelling, and these are, get this, it was a Ukrainian teacher, it wasn't even a Russian. They were out there yelling at the soldiers, why are you putting these weapons on our roofs when there's a field over there? Why use a preschool? Why not use the fields or a military base? Why do you want to have them blow up our preschools? And why, it's used as basically as a human shield. And we don't like it, the townspeople here, and we're Ukrainians, and we don't like it. So they are using these people as human shields, and this isn't propaganda. So they're trying to figure out what to do with the weapons now, because you can't metal detect them because you could possibility of setting them off. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this because this is one of them. This is what it looks like. And now that is the canister itself it's about the height of, let's see, let me put my cursor over here. So it would be from here to here would be about the size of, I'm going to say a lighter, maybe the size of a lighter. And from side to side, it's a little bit bigger than that. So these are tiny. They can't really be seen like you would think. And these come out of like a missile. And when it explodes, it throws these things everywhere. And this is what Ukraine has been doing. And when Putin has been complaining about this, that he's being told he's the one that's doing this. Well, when he finds out, usually he quit going after Zelensky and said, you know what, I'm just going to go to the UN and Amnesty International. So he said, you got to talk to the people. He's in Moscow. He's not seeing what's going on the border of Ukraine. So it was up to them to go and investigate this and see what the people had to say. And according to this report, they were looking at um, 80% of the witnesses that seen this happen and seen it land, seen it blow up, are Ukrainians. And they said it came from the direction of Ukraine, that Ukrainians had done this. Now, there was other mines that were out there, and they had a Russian um, someone from the Russian military come and talk to one of the people real close to on the border, and also Amnesty International. And he said, "So what is this?" And he said, "Well, that's not Russian." He said, "That's a pedal bomb, and those are illegal." And he said, "Who has them?" And he said, "The only person he knows over there and around Europe would be Ukraine. Ukraine has them." So then they went and they talked to a Ukrainian and said, what is this? And they said it's something that they have been shooting. So the Ukrainian military soldiers are even telling them that's not Russian, that's Ukraine. So now it's set. We're starting to uncover the truth that's going on over there in Ukraine. That this Azov battalion is very vicious, and they're the problem. But if Ukraine doesn't have their army, that's I think like 100,000 strong almost now. If they don't have them, they won't win this war. So they said at the end of the war, maybe they'll pay them off and let them go. Well, that's not how it works with these guys. These are terrorists. And then we're finding out, just like I told you guys from years back when I first started the show, that it was Ukraine is the aggression and has always been the aggression, and that Putin just got fed up and decided to do defense. So, yeah, yeah, and then look at that teacher that was Ukrainian saying, "Why are you doing this?" Um, 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 Judas said, "So many dirty acts take place during war. So many innocent people." Isn't that how it is now? We have our own administration that's picking and poking a panda and wanting. It almost seems like they want war. But what if Jinping gets mad and decides he is going to shoot a missile over here? That's only going to hurt us. It's going to hurt the people, not the politicians that's making all these choices. And they think this is right, the right thing to do. Well, there's a way about a war, and you don't throw pedal mines. These are, like I said, this is against international law. They shouldn't even have them. And so, is when this is all said and done, is the United States and NATO going to go after them for humanitarian, what they did? Just like, you can't, they tried to go after Putin for doing it. So why can't the Amnesty International maybe go after the Biden administration, NATO, because they're the one who's giving them these weapons. We are. And they're supposed to be illegal. They're illegal here. Or they're not lawful. So they're against international law. So why are they being thrown into the streets of Ukraine? Where they're not. It's not just Russians. There are many Ukrainians that are there on the streets and in those housing subdivisions too. And I'm glad that kindergarten teacher came out, and I'm glad she got it on film. That what are you doing? Stop that. And not only that, but blowing up a playground. Why would they? Well, why blow up a playground? You're supposed to blow up the military stuff. So, yeah, dirty acts from people that aren't being very honest and transparent with NATO or the United States. I believe that the corruption has never stopped in Ukraine. Uh, I've never heard of it being fixed. I heard that Trump was going to help him get some corruption um, policies and some programs together to stop the corruption. But after that, I didn't hear nothing about it. So I want to know where the money's going, where are these weapons being sold to or going, and not only that, but uh, how if we are responsible for this, why are we giving them pedal bombs? So yeah, so that pedal bomb, I'll give you one more look at it real quick. It's just a little tiny thing, and people don't really know what they are. To me, I wouldn't have a clue. To me, it looks like it may be some type of a thing that would store fuel or something in. I don't know. I wouldn't have. I would might poke it with a stick, but no, don't. They say it on contact, very light touch will blow it up. So all a little kid has to do is go over there and pick it up. It's going to blow up. Now, what kind of damage does it cause? It's not going to blow up a person. It's made for blowing up like limbs. If you step on it, it blows your leg off, or you pick it up, it blows half your arm off. But if you are a little kid, they're smaller. I mean, what would the damage to a little kid would be horrifying. So this is what's coming out of Ukraine, that they're actually doing the, what was it that you called that, Judith? Dirty acts. That's what this is. It's just dirty. It's dirty fighting. War isn't fair. And I know that they talked the bio weapons, and that was debunked because Ukraine has almost a dozen bio labs in their own country, and Putin didn't really have any of those. Then they were talking chemical weapons. Well, come to find out, they were the ones with the chemical weapons, and come to find out, they have had with the Azov battalion. They have been known to have many, many, many missiles full of mustard gas. So they're playing dirty, and I think the truth is starting to come out that maybe Putin was right. Maybe I was right a couple of years ago when we did the story on Burisma, and how all Putin was trying to do is take as many Russians as he could out of Ukraine and move them to Crimea. So yeah, isn't that sad, Judith? It's very sad that and blowing up a playground. When I heard that, I was like, why are they blowing up? What's the playground? Why is that a target? Because they know where these things are going. They know where the targets are. So why a playground? And why in the right next to a school? And that's their own country. They know what a school is and what a military base looks like, and they should know. So this is like they said, they're using people as human shields. The problem with that is they're doing it to the Ukrainians too, their own people. We all got mad when we heard about Saddam Hussein gassing his own people. Well, this is the same thing. They're blowing up their own people on purpose. They know. And they said that Putin has given ample time for people to evacuate the area. The Ukrainians do not. They just march in and they just start firing. And whatever happens, happens. So this is a very disheartening. And I wish the media would get out there and say something about this. But they're not going to. It's not what they it's not what they want to hear. It's not what they want to promote. But thank goodness for the reporters on the ground over there, because we wouldn't know about this. There are video out there of this playground. um, that I happened to catch. It was on Redacted. I believe that's where I seen the video. And they show it. They show, the guy yelling at the gentleman, don't, no, no, back up, don't touch it. And you could see them just laying all over the ground. So, and that's where I got the picture from. So, anyway, um, not only that, but now that we're going to be paying the taxes off on this, and it's not fair to, if we're going to take the sides of the Ukrainians, then how, we're not going to say that this is right. You don't send missiles into a residential area and aim it at a playground or a school. That just makes no sense. Um, we had FBI director yesterday that was talked to about what's going on. Now, the thing I watched the whole thing, and uh, what really interested me was the fact that the FBI knew about it, and there were certain people that had the information and knew about it, and then they buried it. And then Tom Fenton even said this. Tom Fenton, I think, yesterday said something about this, that they went out of their way to hide everything on Hunter Biden so he couldn't be looked at. And if it wasn't for the whistleblower, that we wouldn't know about this. And it's alarming. Um, and even Grassy wrote a letter to Ray on uh, basic. To Ray and Merrick and Garland, summarizing the claims that there was a scheme in place amongst certain FBI officials to undermine information and hide it, and potentially covering, uh, um, potentially hiding damning information. And it was from the Hunter Biden laptop. And so now they're looking at, this could be considered an interference by the FBI, uh, or failure to proceed, is what Tom Fenton said. He said because when they find it and they see that there's a crime that possibly is committed, that they can connect it to a law or a statute, then they go after the people. They don't bury the file. Um, and he said that he's very upset about this. And he said because it seems like Christopher Wray plays these kind of games, even back to the Russia. And he says this is troubling. And he said personal action needs to be done against these people, because not only are they doing a criminal investigation, but there's a law against doing this. It's a criminal act. So, and it does basically implicate and involves Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Joe Biden's brother, his wife, and Hunter Biden, and even the sister. So, they're burying what they can, and of course, with it in the hands of the FBI, it just looks like they're obstructing justice. And so, Grassy and Tom Fenton working together to go after Hunter Biden, but not only that, but go after certain FBI officials that hid this. Um, and they're even wanting to pull all the Freedom of Information Act on all documents that were done by Mueller. And I believe they should. I believe, and the DOJ. All of this needs to be re-looked into, because why didn't he find the same stuff? Why didn't he look into, the accusations of what was coming out of Ukraine? So, um, I'm going to make sure I didn't forget anything. So these whistleblowers are very important right now. And one they know has come out into the public, and there's two more that are staying very quiet. And they say that if anything, that when November and then comes around in 2024, that this should be one of the first things that they do to stop what the Biden family has been doing all these years. So, and that's corruption, out and out corruption. And that was in Ukraine for this. The cost. Okay, so I'm going to move on with this last one. And this one really surprised me because I knew we cover the cost of Nancy Pelosi. Well, come to find out, she didn't have just one airplane. She had two airplanes completely full, and you've seen how big that was. And so Nancy Pelosi flew in for, everybody's saying 24 hours, and it was a quickie, and it was a turnaround, and she was back out of there. The problem is um, how much it cost for us to be over there. And it really astounded me that we had so we had two big planes, then we had 8 U.S. warplanes as an escort. Um, that was the F-35s and F-15s, and so just for her trip over there, we're not even talking the trip back, is $90 million. $90 million to get her over there and have her protected. And that's everything. Well, I think it's the return flight too. I think the whole trip where she's went over and she bounced around and flew around, and because she had to have that type of protection, that's why I said she shouldn't have went. If you got to have that kind of protection, you don't need to go because you're stirring the pot. So that's how much it cost. It's going to cost us. This is going more inflation, folks. More inflation. I mean, we just found out we gave Saudi billions. We're giving Ukraine billions. We're talking about Taiwan now. We're going to have to give billions to help them fight China. And then, here we go. And then Nancy Pelosi wants to have a little vacation to go check on her stocks through Taiwan. And there's not just one. I found out they're a part of 3 different companies in Taiwan. So how funny, she meets with them, the leaders, very briefly, and then at least 5 hours of her time was spent bouncing from different people on what was going on with her stocks and finances. And then now we get the bill. We're going to get the bill. Wow. I think that's even more than it cost to Joe Biden to go over there. $90 million it cost for her to fly over to Taipei. And what was the purpose of this? What was the purpose? I mean, she couldn't wait and afford to cost this much because of the high security and a threat to our national security. But even Taiwan is now coming out saying it's like a threat to their national security now. And maybe she shouldn't have come because look at what it's created. I mean, the brink of war, a brink of World War III with everybody involved eventually. So anyway, with that, folks, that is it for today. Please subscribe, and we thank you for watching. We have corruption files tonight, so I'll be back again later tonight. I'm going to go get some food and put my feet up and watch probably news stuff. Probably news stuff because I'm trying to keep an eye on what's going on in Taiwan. And everything that plings on my phone, I'm instantly on it to make sure. So, yeah, have a good day and have a great Friday. Watch a really good movie today or tonight. So subscribe and share and hit the bell, hit the like button. And if you're over there in Facebook, I thank you very, very much for all the new viewers. We appreciate it, and share and hit the follow and like. But all of you, we thank from the bottom of our heart that you watch us every day. And we're only going to get better. I'm only going to dig deeper and get better. Yeah, you guys have some serious storms going that way, Judith. Poor Kentucky is going to get hit again. They say we got them coming, but the sun is shining and nothing. It's drying up. We killed the storms. So we do thank all of you. It's a blessing that you watch us and your support. And we will, if you don't watch the news tonight, we have trivia tomorrow. If not, then I will be back with the morning weather show on Tuesday. And we start the news all over again for the week. So with that, you guys have a wonderful day. And we will see you tonight for Corruption Files at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye, folks, and have a blessed day.